A lot of people grow up hearing the same sentence, money is the root of all evil. But that exact sentence doesn't actually appear in the Bible. The real line says this, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And that single word, love, makes all the difference. The Bible doesn't condemn money itself. It condemns the love of money. Loving money doesn't just mean having a lot of it. It means being controlled by it, letting it dictate your life and your values. In fact, the Bible talks about money constantly, not as something to be feared, but as something that reveals our true priorities. Money is just a tool. It magnifies the character of the person using it. If money itself were evil, the text wouldn't spend so much time explaining how to manage it wisely. So today, let's explore the actual financial strategies that show up in the Bible and see why they are just as relevant and effective in the real world. The first strategy is planning ahead. There's a famous story about Joseph in Egypt. During 7 years of abundance, when food was plentiful, he orchestrated a plan to store grain instead of consuming it all. Then, when a severe famine struck, that stored grain was what kept the entire nation alive. Now, that's more than just a miracle story. It's a powerful lesson in preparation. When your resources are high, don't just assume they'll stay that way forever. Save, invest, and plan for the inevitable changes. This lesson appears over and over. Good times are not permanent, and neither are the bad ones. The key is to use the good times to prepare for the lean ones. The second core strategy is long-term thinking throughout the scriptures. True wealth is consistently described as something built slowly over time, not something acquired in a rush. There are frequent warnings against get-rich-quick schemes. Instead, the slow, steady accumulation of resources is praised. Why? Because rushed financial decisions are almost always driven by either fear or greed. You're either afraid of missing out or greedy for a quick win. In contrast, long-term decisions are usually made from a place of clarity and patience. They're based on a solid plan, not a fleeting emotion. This approach builds a foundation that can withstand market fluctuations and unexpected setbacks. It's about planting a tree you may not sit under, but that will provide shade for generations. The third strategy is avoiding unnecessary debt. Debt is often described as a form of bondage. This isn't because borrowing is inherently wrong in every situation, but because it severely limits your freedom. When you owe money to someone else, a portion of your future income, your future time, and your future energy is already spoken for. It's not truly yours anymore. Your range of choices shrinks. You might have to say no to a great opportunity or yes to a bad situation, simply because of your obligations. The Bible warns against taking on debt that removes your flexibility and creates dependency on lenders. And in our modern world of credit cards and easy loans, that warning is more relevant than ever. Financial freedom begins with breaking free from the chains of debt. The fourth strategy is ownership. Owning land and productive assets is portrayed as a cornerstone of stability throughout the text. This isn't about accumulating luxury goods for status, but about securing a means of provision. When you own something that produces value, whether it's land, a business, or an investment, your past work continues to generate income for you. This creates a buffer and reduces your vulnerability when economic conditions change. If you lose your job, your productive assets can still provide. This is why the idea of ownership keeps showing up. It's not about being rich, it's about being resilient. It's about building a financial structure that can stand on its own, independent of a weekly paycheck. The fifth strategy is stewardship. This is a profound shift in mindset. Money is treated as something entrusted to you, not something you own absolutely. You are a manager, a steward of the resources you have. When you adopt this perspective, your behavior naturally changes. People who see their finances as a responsibility tend to plan more carefully, they waste less. They think more deeply about the long-term impact of their financial decisions. Stewardship also provides the ultimate framework for generosity. Think about it. You can effectively help others if you're constantly struggling to stay afloat yourself. Building financial strength isn't a selfish act. It increases your capacity to give your time, your resources, and your support when and where it matters most. This brings us right back to that original quote. The problem isn't money. The problem is the love of money. Loving money means chasing it for your identity. It means measuring your self-worth by your bank account. It means letting money decide your moral compass. When money becomes the ultimate goal, people start to cut corners. They might exploit others. They lose perspective on what truly matters in life. But when money is used as a tool, it does the exact opposite. It creates stability. That stability brings peace of mind, and that peace creates the capacity to help others. The Bible doesn't warn against having money. It warns against being owned by it. There's a world of difference between the two. In the right hands, money funds solutions to real-world problems. It supports families. It builds communities. It empowers people to act with intention instead of just reacting to circumstances. That's why the Bible treats the topic of money so seriously, but not fearfully. It recognizes its power, and all power needs direction and wisdom. The pattern is remarkably consistent. Across the entire text, plan ahead during times of plenty. Think in terms of decades, not days. Avoid the traps of debt that steal your future freedom. Own productive assets whenever possible. And above all, treat your resources as a responsibility, not a possession. This isn't just about religion. This is about timeless wisdom that has lasted for thousands of years because it works. Money is not evil. Loving money at the expense of your integrity, your relationships, and your well-being is. But used correctly, money is a form of leverage. And leverage in the right hands can do an incredible amount of good in the world. Thanks so much for watching. If this gave you a new perspective, consider liking the video and subscribing for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.